tech problems. I was, unfortunately, I was backing up my videos and photos to Google Photos prior in my prior attempt to stream. By putting backup on Space Saver settings, I can successfully back up things in Google Photos while watching TV, but I can't uh, live stream while backing stuff up, or else the bandwidth is just too lean. Mm-hmm. Now that tech problems are also a new thumbnail. I don't know if you noticed that. I don't have any idea where those questions came from. Somebody, I guess, asked me those questions in that image format. I have no recollection of it. It must be something that Rachel snapped a screenshot of and uploaded or something. I can answer those questions. I've answered them before. The second one's easy. It's completely bullshit. When people say, I was this type when I was young, but then I changed into this type. No, completely bullshit. And the first question, where do types come from? Is it genetic? Is it meow? Is it meow? I don't know the answer to that question. I I could speculate a couple possibilities, but I really don't know. If it were genetic, then identical twins should always be the same type, and they're not. So I'm not sure. I feel very certain that you are born either the type you are, or at least your dominant function. Yeah, you can ask Eric anything always. Ask me anything. Well, that just goes for that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year. Everybody can always ask a question of anybody, anytime, because that person doesn't have to answer it. It's ridiculous to think that you have to be given permission to ask somebody a question. If two trees from the same tree are planted next to each other, one tree might get more sunlight, one tree might get more rain. Well, that's true, but then you're just saying that type is determined by nurture. The differences in experience define a type. If that's true, and it's possible, I still think that it defines them very quickly and very early, because my reasoning is typically SI based reasoning in my own experience. I just remember having a child and Delilah being Delilah right from birth, obviously an action type. Well, yeah, that's fine when you're talking about temperament and character, but when we're talking about type, it's a more specific question. And there is an answer to it, but I don't know what it is. So all I could do is speculate, and I can eliminate some possibilities. It's not purely genetic, or else identical twins would always have the same type. It could be a response to certain kinds of hormones in the womb or something like that, but if it were that, you'd still expect identical twins to experience the same meow of hormones, but maybe not. I'm not sure how that works really. So I'm not an expert in like embryonic development or anything, interuteral hormone processes or anything like that. So, um, so my position on it is this: it's it's not nurture. Nurture will impact your affect, how your type displays. It might it might even define your enneagram type. I don't know. But type isn't defined by nurture unless it's defined by it very early, like first month of life. And type isn't defined purely by nature, genetics. So, I mean, in some sense, it's like, it feels like it's implicit to your soul. You know, that's not a very good explanation, obviously. But yeah, the right hand, left hand analogy is a good one for type in general. Or it's a good one for attention, right? It's like we pay attention is our metaphysical reaching for things, you know? And how we reach for them, whether we reach for them as an action dominant, interface dominant, knowledge dominant, or deliberation dominant person is going to right, which is lots and lots of parents will confirm that same sentiment that you're saying there. Ruben, when there's only one set of footprints, that's when you're carrying Jesus. Because, you know, Jesus doesn't walk so well ever since he got those holes in his feet. Yeah, you can type kids young. It was obvious Delilah was a TI type and an action type early on, although I didn't know about cognitive functions back then. But you know, had I known about them, it would have been obvious. In retrospect, it's obvious. TI is kind of easy to distinguish because the kids with TI 1 or 2, they treat words as defined things. Delilah used to love playing valid or invalid as a little kid. I mean, I think you can tell ESFP is young too, but obviously, you know, it depends on how familiar you are with typing a given type, how close they are to your own type, as to how easy it's going to be for you to identify things. Good morning, Ruben. Where you see your arms are tired, it's time to put Jesus down. Hey, thanks for the piggyback ride. Sure thing, Jesus. It's my pleasure. After all, you forgive me of my sins, so the least I can do is give you a piggyback ride. It's well said, Eric. Well said. It's an actual conversation between me and Jesus. We were at the beach. He insisted on going for a long walk in the sand. It wasn't a date per se, but it was kind of date-like. What's on your schedule for today? Is it a busy work day? No, I've given Ruben the day off today. I said, Ruben, today is your chance to take it easy and just relax, take a bunch of Seroquels and go back to bed, you know? Oh, Way to make me jealous, Ruben. Way to make me jealous. Thanks a lot. Now I want speed. It's fine. I don't need speed. I'm feeling super speedy right now, just on life. It's weird. But I might go to. Oh no, my prescription doesn't come due for a while. Trouble. Do we have to start this already so early in the morning? I already watched you eat this morning. First thing when I got up. So you think Winston's mom that the Bible's wrong about something? But the Bible was written by Jesus' dumbass friends. Yeah, it's quite possible the Bible was wrong about a lot of things. I tell you, the Old Testament is full of self-serving nonsense. So is the New Testament, but the Old Testament is just ridiculously so. If you ever read the story of Abigail and David, it's clearly written by the mob after they've killed somebody who refused to give in to their protection money demands. It's ridiculous. And the mob just justifying themselves. It's like King David comes to this guy's land and says, "Look, we've been hanging around here and we haven't stolen any of your shit." And he goes, "Who are you?" And so King David's like, "All right, now we're going to kill you and steal all your shit." And the guy's wife's like, "No, here, let me give you a bunch of stuff so you don't kill us." And then, conveniently, her husband dies 7 days later, and she marries King David. And it's presented as, a sign of how important it is to obey God or something. That has nothing to do with God at all. That's just King David being a fucking barbaric prick. And then writing the history books. Abundantly obvious if you read the, the scripture on that. How dare you call the apostles Jesus' dumbass friends? Locally sourced. Locally sourced Twizzlers. You get a wonder point, Ruben R., for locally sourced Twizzlers. And I've got some good news for you. Today is Wednesday. I think we know what that means. Yeah, on whose mysterious, unexplained death a week after Abigail purportedly had bargained for his life successfully. And then she became David's wife. Because she just loved that guy so much for killing her husband and stealing all of her shit. You'd like to be the hand that secretly moves things around? Oh. You mean you want to be an undercover person, as Rachel says. I love it when Rachel says the wrong word for something. It's fantastic. Like when she was talking about NPCs yesterday, and He called them undercover person. Did you think that guy was an undercover person? Of course, I knew exactly what she meant, even though she's never used that term before. And it's not even close to NPC. That's because I just, I don't know, I know Rachel so well at this point. It was awesome. Undercover person. Rachel is just across the board so darn cute. It's unbelievable. Um, so yeah, this I'm giving the disgraced noble lady I received a crash course in naughtiness is a great cartoon because despite what it sounds like, he's taking this noble lady who's been trained to be obedient and stuff her whole life and you know been shut down in terms of her own priorities and and he's telling her the proper thing for you to be is what's going on? Why don't I see the live showing up? There. Now with that tech problems. There were tech problems for a second, actually. So that title turned out to be a lie. Actually, so that you don't feel like yourself if you don't daily get some sort of outlet for excessive energy. So swimming helps a lot. Body keeping temp at homeostasis burns a crap ton of calories too. So you mean because water is cold, you burn more calories swimming than you would an equivalent amount of jogging? That's an interesting notion. Yeah, everything's fine now. I was briefly confused because I just didn't see the live stream anywhere on my channel that I could go to and look at it, but then it showed up. I was just playing hard to get. So, I watched a bit of stand-up comedy this morning. I've watched a bit of stand-up comedy on a few different occasions lately on YouTube, like little clips of it, just like one or two jokes or whatever. Oh, Michael Phelps reportedly ate in excess of 8,000 daily calories during his Olympic training. Author Tim Ferriss attributed this to his body regulating temp while in pool. Huh. That's a very interesting notion. I don't know if it's true or not, but it intuitively resonates as a good explanation. And, I'm a fan of good explanations. Whether that is the actual explanation or not, it's hard to say. It's nevertheless intuitively resonant. Well, if I ever want to burn calories, then I guess I'll just take a cold shower. Sounds like a very unpleasant way to burn calories, but okay, let's pull the bong rip. Eric? Yes? Is this your first bong rip of the day? No, it's not. I pulled a couple rips earlier. Sure, I'm fine with it, Ruben. You know, like I say, prayer is like jogging. You don't need to justify it. Swimming is also like jogging. I think there might be something like a mouse or a lizard under that chair over there because troubles keep you trying to get something underneath it, it looks like. Sometimes he's just playing though, so I don't know. In swimming season, you identify as scubin. Isn't it always swimming season? I don't think there is a non-swimming season. In this clip, he talks about finding his son's dick pics on his phone. Well, I particularly like this one stand-up comedy thing I saw a while back, which was by this guy talking about. It starts with like, my wife and I were at the lake one day and we were having a great time. So my wife wanted to put a stop to that, and she said, "Hey, look, there's my ex-boyfriend." And then he talks about how his friends say he should have gotten into a fight with him, and about how he was on a boat though, and how hard it would be to swim over to a boat and get into a fight with the guy. I thought that was one of the best stand-up comedy things I've seen recently. My overall takeaway about stand-up comedy stuff is, wow, like with a few rare exceptions, wanted me to stop having a good time. So yeah, exactly. But I've just been like, okay, well, so these are like good professional comedians who have like a show on Comedy Network maybe or something. You know, not like a show, but like have their comedy set as a show itself on Comedy Central or whatever. Um, I'm surprised at how not very good the professional comedians are. Some of them, so occasionally you'll get some good ones, but even the ones that are good, they're just good. They're not really hilarious or anything. It makes me realize like I could do a better job than most of those people. But I'd have to practice stand-up comedy in the way that stand-up comedy is, where you gotta have jokes, you gotta have your set scripted out ahead of time. You can't just get up there and freestyle mugities. Although some comedians have attempted to do that in the past, it doesn't really work. It ends up being like improv, you know. Well, thanks, Winston's mom. It's one area where I've always been generally affirmed. You know, um, I don't remember really ever having anybody tell me you aren't funny. You know, obviously I'm not always trying to be funny. Sometimes I'm making jokes, sometimes I'm not. But it seems to be one talent of mine that nobody's particularly interested in denying, which is unusual because by and large, people are interested in invalidating other people's success if it makes them feel threatened in some way, you know? And nobody is as prone to feeling threatened as creative types, understandably. You know, it's not easy to be useless. It's not fun being useless. And wanting to succeed in some sort of area that's specifically, I guess you'd say, responsive to intuitives or something. Like it, areas of work that, you know, people. No, I've never watched Tony live show in Austin. I like the concept a lot. I love the concept. I want to go to Austin and participate in that. I wonder how many times I'd have to go before my name got pulled from my hat. That sounds fantastic. I don't know what. I guess if I had 60 seconds, I'd get up there and say, you know, a lot of people are offended because I'm a fake death person. But I tell them, why? I can give you everything a real deaf person can, but I can hear you. That's about 30 seconds right there, you know? I mean, it sounds like the sort of concept an ENTP would want to run with. It's like they want their own opportunity to do that. So they come up with that idea and put it together so that they can have their turn. That sounds like something an ENTP would do. And then they realize, oh, now I'm the host of this thing. I can't play on it. It's like when when I was doing talking with famous people early on, I was envisioning, well, take turns being host, and then I'll interview you, you can interview me. I realized I'm the host of this thing now. That means I can't get wonder points, I can only give them. Good morning, Lou. Good morning, Lou. How are you? Would you like to chew something like poo today? Hey. I'm going to guess the answer to that question is no. You don't want to chew something like poo. I'm not sure who Wanda Sykes is, but the name sounds familiar. So I've heard of them before. Maybe I've watched one of their videos before. Who knows? I do periodically check out comedy stuff. I like good comedy when I can find it. It's scary to check it out because if it's bad, it's painful. You know, I'm no exception to that rule. When I make my own bad comedy, it's painful too. But hopefully I don't do that very often. I like the expression flashing quarter eye for giving me side eye. I don't know if it's meant to mean that, but there's a song that Rachel and I like a lot called, I think it's called Restless. but and it's written by. Well, I only watch stand-up things here on YouTube, Lou. I like to watch, like a 3-minute clip of a stand-up comedian. Hopefully, it's like their best stuff. Um, yeah, I got lost in thought there for a second about comedy and comedians. It's a very interesting subject to me. I love uh, analyzing jokes, how they work, why they don't work when they don't work, to the extent that I can come up with a clear, correct explanation of those things. Sometimes it's hard to do, but I love the idea of combining. I like the idea of joke templates, like a meow and a meow walk into a meow, like or a knock knock, who's there? What was that joke I made up one time? It was a knock knock joke. It was I can't remember what it was. It was a great knock knock joke. I just love the fact that there are joke templates like that. I love my successful combination of a Helen Keller joke and a dead baby joke. What do you call Helen Keller juggling 6 dead babies? Impressive. You could call me a bit of a joke connoisseur. Because jokes are always very interesting because they survive on it's sort of a repurposing of a standard existing. Helen Keller joke, I like it. It's not exactly an example of what I was saying, but I like you tossing your hat in the ring there, Winston's mom. That's good. Good. That's good inclinations. Ruben R says, "What'll you have today? The usual." Is there another part still to come, or is that it? Yeah. So, and then there are some like jokes that I remember existing but can't remember the specifics of them. Know they're good but can't remember what they are. Like the joke about bags of manure or whatever in the back of a truck that's on BoJack Horseman. I can never remember how it works, but it's a fantastic joke. Stephen Wright wrote a lot of good jokes. And the thing is about really good jokes is you still kind of, Oh, you were hoping somebody else would. Oh, I see. You were putting the ball in my court. That's the one thing that NPCs don't really do is observe. They have to be triggered into action by an actual player's behavior, I suspect. Like BoJack Horseman had lots of good jokes, of course, and I can't remember what most of them are. I wish in that regard, I sometimes wish I had SI a little higher up so I could remember all the wonderful things that there are to remember. Like all the good jokes I've ever heard or made up. If I had a full inventory of that, it would be massive. I'd love to have a full inventory of all the good jokes I ever made up, but uh, unfortunately, I don't write such things down. And telling them on YouTube is not a good way to keep track of your jokes. Because reviewing the material requires a lot of, at best, double time watching, you know. Well, I want to thank you guys for doing your job as laxatives. I appreciate that. That's really why I start streaming. Usually is because I think, well, I feel a poo coming on, but I know it won't really come out of my butt properly unless I'm live streaming. Hello, Mr. Kitty. Oh, wonderful man. Yes. Who's my favorite narcissist? It's you. You know, I'm thinking a lot about my initially overreaching statement about the role of the truth in things. Like, when I was talking about narcissists and disagreeing with Dr. Ramani, who said it's not a good idea to call a narcissist, or to tell them that they are or whatever. I made statements about, like, you can't predict the outcome of the truth, so you just default to it. But as I clarified then, and I will clarify further now, you can't calculate the legitimacy, desirability of stating the truth without factoring in intention. If your intention in stating the truth is to achieve an outcome you want, you should be very skeptical of whether you're using the truth correctly or not. If the exception to that is if the outcome you're looking for is justice, in which case, because people generally can't agree upon what is just, then the only thing one can do is state the truth and let the chips fall where they may. Now, obviously, if your intention is to be mean, hurt someone's feelings, that's the worst example of justifying stating the truth with what the outcome you want, which is itself an inherently bad outcome. But it's no better, really, than trying to justify stating mean truths because you believe certain outcomes are good for the other person. Like, you know, telling somebody they've got horrible tasting clothes. I don't know. I don't mind saying that about public figures, but I wouldn't go say that to somebody just up to their face like, hey, you got horrible tasting clothes. It's for their own good. They shouldn't dress so badly. That's not a good reason to state the truth. It may be true that they have horrible tasting clothes, but you don't need to impose that truth on their blissful ignorance. Because it's not a universally, it doesn't serve any universal principle like justice. So that's what I wanted to clarify. There's a cache of responses with the trigger being any statement about fathers. Fathers provide semen to the ovum in order to fertilize it. Well, sperms, I guess you should say. Semen is just the medium in which the sperms swim. You could think of your dominant function as being like cum, and your tool function as being like sperms. You know, your cum is who you are, your sperms is what you do. I want clerks removed from my shopping experience. I don't desire human feedback on my shopping choices. I don't think that normally I get any feedback on my shopping choices. But maybe they're giving me feedback with their eyes that I'm not picking up on. That's possible. Eric, how do you type people you know well? Oh, I just type them with my intuition. I don't go about formally typing people. I don't behave differently based on what type you are. To the extent that I do, it would mean that we're having some sort of problem and I'm having to do something I hate doing, which is manipulating. I almost never manipulate. I think it's fair to say that by and large, anger and manipulation don't go together. Anger is trying to deal with something in a non-manipulative way. It's like, hold on, motherfucker, you're pissing me off. That's not manipulative, right? That's confrontational. But it is the case that there are plenty of eights in the world who are manipulative, but I think they have to suppress their eight a lot in order to be manipulative more successfully. They make comments with their body. Ew, what is this you're getting? I had a pleasant enough exchange with the clerk. Sometimes I need, say, a cucumber or laxative and some olive oil. I don't need the clerk connecting the dots. With it, you're constipated and on your way to making salad? You're constipated and making salad. That's what I've concluded. Yeah, okay. All right, Ruben, I am going to have to give you another wonder point, which again is doubled. So that's four total wonder points for you today. And that's a lot of wonder points for one morning. But that's why it's Wonder Point Wednesday, you know? Wonder Point Wednesday, it provides people the opportunity to to really rack up some wonder points. Of course, wonder points are always earned, never given. Which is unlike respect, which should be given, not earned. You know, it's like civil discourse requires us to default to respectful engagement. Well, but what about if you actually respect the person? I don't deal with people like that, you know? Like, I respect you and I don't respect you. And I was like, what the fuck is that even? Show Media says he has five. So I'm guessing that I'm guessing that Show Media is keeping track of that. I find the whole thing very silly, um, but it proves the point of my ESFJ ex-wife, who said it doesn't matter what the prize is, as long as you give out some kind of prize, people want it. So you'd be like two pencils in a coffee cup, you know? What the fuck kind of prize is that? It doesn't matter what prize you give out. As long as you give out some kind of prize, people want it. That's what Candace told me one time when I was questioning the desirability of these horrible prizes she was putting together. Well, Wonder Points proves the truth of this statement. It's like the first time I had Wonder Point Wednesday, it was just this silly joke. Like, I'm going to give out these nonsense things that don't exist called Wonder Points today. You know, it was just me making myself laugh. And now it's a thing where I have somebody tell me yesterday they're keeping track of how many Wonder Points they have. Of course, you might say that Wonder Points are unfairly biased towards joke makers. That would be a pretty fair critique of Wonder Points. You know, like Ruben has got to be in the lead because he makes a lot more jokes than other people, and he's very good at making jokes. But Wonder Points should be awarded on a more fair spread of criterion. Like Winston's mom puts up a lot of useful links. She's like link shit for me all the time. She should get a infrequent but steady supply of Wonder Points for just that basic utility and stuff, you know. So I have to do a bit of a um, self accounting of how I award Wonder Points. This is the problem of making something up like Wonder Points. It's like, you know, good ideas, whether they're silly like Wonder Points or they're wry in some fashion, like the term intuitard. When people started using that, trying to use that term against me, as happened for a little while, unaware that I had made it up as a way of making fun of people making fun of me, I just, it was like a car crash on the cognitive highway. an adaptive point system that accounts for different cognitive functions. Right. Well, right. You could get a wonder point that has like a little TE next to it, and a wonder point that has a little SE next to it. But then your wonder points get very complicated. And, it's hard for me to award other people wonder points for good SI, for example. Like, oh, you're eating breakfast right now? Well, that deserves a wonder point. That's not going to work. Sorry. There has to be some merit to wonder points besides just you're being yourself. Yeah, well, I would avoid glittering things entirely. Uh, Glitter is also known as the devil's dandruff. Well, I could claim that, but then I would be lying. I completely failed to anticipate that anybody would so not get the joke as for that phenomenon to happen. Well, it's just evidence of the point I was making, which is good ideas get away from you. They're no longer your own. You don't control them once they get out in the world. Makes me very unsure, let's say, about our existing understanding of intellectual property. It was super foggy out here earlier today when I first came out in the morning. It was like a fudge festival. There's so much fudge. Now it's just overcast. There. That's kind of a nice view. It's just me in front of these trees right here. These are good trees. I'm happy to have a lot of trees on my little acre of land here. I like trees a lot. My dad, he didn't like trees very much because he felt like he had to clean up their droppings all the time. I feel no such need to clean up their droppings. My driveway is very messy. My dad would not be okay with this driveway looking like this. You see all the little crap all around. My dad would sweep that shit up for sure right away, like all the time. For the trash. But I just am like, well, there's some pine needles around. There's also a shit ton of open sunflower seeds that I feel like I should sweep up. I feel like when I live up more to my dad's standards in life, life is generally better. So it's not a bad idea to ask myself, what would David think? David would shake his head and say, Eric, why don't you sweep up this stuff? He wouldn't even say it. He'd just shake his head, look at it, and just shake his head. That's all he'd do. Well, I think the perception that personality changes over a lifetime is not a perception. It's a position that is wrong because it's trying to force NI into an instrumental role rather than a an absolute role. In other words, the person is trying to use the truth to explain their experience rather than allow the truth to explain their experience. And, you know, they want the truth to be malleable so that it can match their perceptions of their own experience rather than determinate about who they are in ways that are defining and constraining accordingly from their perceptions. In other words, they're not mapping types. They don't want the map to be in charge of where things are and what things mean and stuff like that. They see themselves as a subjective self, like most normal people do. It's very abnormal, just sort of intuitively, to be as removed from who we are as me and Rachel are, you know, as our two types. And this is locked. So go around. Oh no, I know what I'll do. I'll open the garage door and I'll go in that way. That's why I got locked out in the first place. Show me you're right about that. One day trouble will lock us out on the place completely. And he'll just let us in to watch him eat and then lock us back out again. There he is. Just chilling there. Hi, Mr. Guy. The thing is, one thing that makes personality complicated to explain is that there is a specific function that you'd call a learning function, SI. And so people have the capacity to learn from their mistakes. Everybody has at least a machine code level capacity to do so. And that accounts for differentiation within a type. Well, you know, even though I'm very heavily a mapping type, my knowledge function is still a learning function. So my map of where I've gone before slowly becomes increasingly informative about where I'm going to go forward from now, right? But only slowly. Because if I'm actually mapping forward, I'm using NI, not SI. So it's like with increasing SI experience, I'm able to better see and anticipate uh, connections that one would have to intuit with NI as repeating patterns that I've experienced before. So the older I get, the more intuitive I am in some sense because I have more SI and I'm naturally an intuitive person. So my intuition is more correct with more previous data and previous experience. And that's not the way that NI types deal with the map, right? They map forward. Um, and their relationship with SI and NI has an equivalent dynamic in the sense that the more relevant experience they have about a given thing they're intuiting about, the better their intuition will be because they're intuiting about more data. But they're still intuiting forward, and so they're not really drawing consciously from their experience. Well, but I also can't watch him without being alive, show media, so I don't really mind if he eats my face when I die, but that would unfortunately mean that he'd outlive me, which I'm not okay with that. So we're gonna have to nix that plan, I think. All right. So been streaming for about an hour now. Not perhaps the greatest stream in history. You know, I try to make every stream the greatest stream in history. But the problem is, I don't try hard. I mean, I have no way of knowing exactly, but I would think maybe he's 6 or 7 years old. For some reason, he seemed like he was around 2 or 3 years old when we first met him. Um, no real reason to think that, except he seemed young, vigorous, and yet fully mature. So that's 2 or 3 years old, 4 years old, maybe when we first met him. Of course, he already had AIDS, so he had he kind of got into some shady business before he met us, before he got his balls cut off in particular. And now, when we first met him and he had his balls still, he was just this untouchable, wild, well, it's not necessarily worse, the man with the gray machete. It's it's just one example of the most extreme manifestation that we can describe of being a cognitive function configuration, which is to say the tool function implies the blind spot is the seventh. Depending on what your frame of reference is, you're going to view certain polars as either like sad, like, oh, that must be horrible to not be able to do that, or annoying, like, those people who have that polar annoy me, or whatever, you know. But I mean, I think NI-polar, from my perspective, NI-polar is the most debilitating polar, even though all the people who have NI-polar are very conventionally successful in some sense, pretty much all of them, you know. Like they're well equipped to deal with the world because they've got the subjective, they've got the interface functions up front, not the subjective interface functions up front, and those interface functions are designed to interface with the world. It's only natural that the people who have interface functions at the top of their stack are going to be most successful at interfacing with the world because the world's full of dynamic systems, either unique logics that are figured out by a TE or human logics, you know, like FE shit. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I what I just did was I checked to see if any new cartoons were out yet. I still have Bullbuster. Bullbuster is a new cartoon that I do like. I am looking forward to seeing the next episode of it, but I'm saving it because I think actually that not much comes out today either. Tuesday is the worst day because only one show comes out on Tuesday. Wednesday at least has two shows come out, but it's also a lean day, I think. Now to check to see, I have to go back to last Wednesday and see. 16-bit sensation, another layer. Kami Arabi God app. I didn't watch that one last week. Everything else is dubs. Yeah. So there are four shows released on Wednesday, but two of them I haven't started watching. I might try this Camilla Robbie God app. I might try that one. I might try also um, 16-bit sensation, another layer. For some reason, the title of that one turns me off, but I think I didn't start watching Camilla Robbie God app because I saw some bad reviews for it. But I still might watch it anyway and find out because I've been a little bit questionable with the Crunchyroll reviews slash ratings lately. Now, Thursday is a great day. Yeah, my daughter left the nest and returned as an S rank adventurer, one of my very favorite ones. Ancient Majesty's Bride Season 2, excellent show. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Under Ninja. Did I watch that one? No, I don't think I watched Under Ninja. Add to queue. I should watch that. Rurouni Kenshin comes out on Thursday. That's a lot of good shows on one day, right there. Then Friday got the Rising of the Shield Hero season 3, Goblin Slayer 2, Fryren Beyond Journey's End. Let me check the walkthrough first. Reign of the Seven Spellblades, which is okay. Arknights Perish in Frost. The Kingdoms of Ruin. Hmm. I watched about half of that and didn't add it to the queue. I wonder why not. I must not have liked it very much. I don't really remember it. But that's a lot of good ones on Friday. On Saturday, Firefighter Daigo Rescuer in Orange is good. The Faraway Paladin Lord of the Rest of the Mountains is good. I stopped watching Spy Family. Tier Moon Empire is good. A Returner's Magic Should Be Special is good. Bootoreba, The Story of a Man Turned into a Pig is good. I Shall Survive Using Potions is maybe my favorite one of the season. Protocol Rain, I haven't started watching it yet. Sounds like it's a competitive gaming anime. On Sunday, you get Shangri-La Frontier, Overtake, Berserk of Gluttony, which is another one of my very favorite ones this new season, MF Ghost, which is another one of my favorite ones. So not a lot of shows, but it's a pretty rich vein of anime season. I've seen a lot of different seasons on Crunchyroll. No, it's not really my genre. I don't spend a lot of time watching what might be called horror anime and or spooky anime, but I have watched some of them. I probably watched more of them than I think. Even I do note the seasonal change of what they're saying. Like, here's some random shit that's organized like this for you to consider. I do make note of that as it changes. Obviously, I spend a good couple of hours at least at Crunchyroll pretty much every day. You know, it is the one streaming service that I cannot live without, except for except for YouTube, obviously. What do you think about the anime Berserk? I think I liked it. Uh, I don't really remember it. I'm almost certain I watched it, but sometimes with an old show like that, I'll be so unsure about whether I watched it that I will start watching it again, and it'll take me a couple of episodes to even realize that I watched it before. There was one, it's like I watched like seven or so episodes of it before I realized, oh, I have watched this before. Because it's very much for me a self-soothing and kind of like an addiction, you know. When I run out of good new shows to watch, it's like, oh, come on, give me more. Oh yeah, speaking of coming out day, one of my favorites this season is I'm in Love with the Villainess, which is a very lesbian cartoon, but it's great. It's really good. The thing is, it takes about a half an episode to really get going, and unfortunately, I was trying to show it to Rachel because I like it a lot. It's this 35-year-old woman who gets reincarnated into an Otami game, but she doesn't want to trigger any of the love flags with the boys and the thing because the princes and stuff because she's in love with the villainess. And she's also like a submissive, and that's kind of why she's in love with the villainess. So um, she the villainess keeps trying to like bully her, but she's just like, "Oh, I love you so much." It's a good show. But I like Otami game isekais. I consistently like them. They have a female main character, and she's having to deal with these various princes who want to be her man, and they're basically like reverse harem shows. I consistently like them a lot. They tend to be funny. I mean, some of them are more girly than others, but some of them, even the most girly ones, are some of my favorites. Like Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts is a very girly show. It's like super emo and muggity meow and whatever, right? But it always makes me cry. And when you have a TV show that makes you cry consistently, but doesn't make you sad, then you got a good TV show. TV shows that make you cry but don't make you sad are good. UWU, the University of Western University. Where did you get your degree from? The University of Western University. Really? Never heard of that place. That's because it's so prestigious. It's too prestigious for you to hear about. So anyway, I feel pretty good about looking at the release schedule going back a week and realizing there are a couple of potential ones that might be good. Why? If I were a homosexual, I'd be like, hey, I don't say to you, Happy Breeders' Day, do I? I'm not defined by the fact that I love to scissor. That's what lesbians do. They love to scissor. They should have a National Breeders' Day so that people can say, hey, good job being straight. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, Winston's mom. Time for you to get some scissor on, girl. All right. We're going to pull some of these cards. It may appear like they're rainbow cards, but I want to assure you that it's entirely incidental, coincidental. They're the same as they always are, even not on National Coming Out Day. What I should do is go out in the world and just start ejaculating. And people are like, what are you doing? I thought it was National Coming Outside Day. No, it's not National Coming Outside Day. It's National Coming Out Day. Oh, my bad. National Coming Outside Day. That's an excellent concept for a holiday. National Coming Outside Day. All right, this poll is for me. I'm going first today. Today is the day that Eric goes first. I'm doing 5? Wow, that's a lot. I didn't mean to do 5, but you can't do an even number. That's another one of the ironclad rules of magical cards. Along with, you can never take a twofer. The nice thing about magical card rules is they can be as arbitrary as you want. Alright, so my underlying foundation, Ace of Rods. My top level frame, 4 of Cups. So I gotta think about some new ideas. And then my self-concept, see myself as action, speed, progress man. What about my directionality for the day? Directionality towards benefit, reward, gain, charity, increase, generous, profit, 6 of Pentacles. But the outcome, oh no. Struggle, defense, effort, 7 of Rods, black. I might as well just go back to Broad. You hadn't heard of National Coming Outside Day before? Well, that's because today is the inception of it. It could be the day after National Coming Out Day. That way we can keep track of what day it is easily. If Coming Out Day is 11th, then Coming Outside Day should be on the 12th. Please, try to find a private place outside to come. Don't do it in the middle of a shopping mall or something. This is for Winston's mom. I'm going to reduce the number going forward from 5 to 3 to make it a more manageable activity. All right, Winston's mom. You also got this card. This is your first card. You get this card, the Ace of Cups. And you get this card, the Page of Swords. Conversation, mental, gossip, media, story. Ooh, gossip, hot goss, as they say. What's the hot goss, Winston's mom? Is the hot goss all about National Coming Outside Day? This one is for Lou, if she's still here. Card number 1. Card number 2. Card number 2 for Lou. Let's find out what you do. Yeah. First card is the Ace of Pentacles. New money, opportunity, gig, increase. Second card, you also got the Page of Swords. You also are in on the hot goss. I'm glad, Misty Doy, to hear that. And here you go. Your third card, Justice, Retribution, Contract, Decree, Fair, Deed, Law, Reckoning. Huh. You know what? I never really read the words on that one. That's a harsher understanding of justice than I think a lot of people bring to the to that tarot card. All right, Misty Joy, here we go. It's your turn. It's your turn to shine. Okay. Your first card, the Six of Rods. Victory, triumph, prestige, kudos. Your second card, the Sun. Brilliance, rhapsody, shine, happiness, chi. And last, the Star. Wow, you got a nice pull today, Misty Doy. Yeah, I'm offering a free for just $9.99. I'm offering a free metaphysical tweak to your metaphysical ecosystem such that you will never again face tech problems abstractly. So, Misty Joy, today's a day of victory, brilliance, and radiance for you. That's pretty good. Victory, brilliance, and radiance. You know, to get the Star and the Sun card, one should point out that the Sun is a star. New Groove, I will wait till you get back then before I do a pull for you. Instead, I will now do a pull for Rachel until and unless anybody here says, do me, you haven't done me yet. All right, so this is for Rachel. Let's see what the tarot says for my darling wife. One. Although the tarot didn't really spit that out properly. I'm not sure about that one. Let the tarot do its noble work by itself. Don't try to pull a card out if it's being resistant. Just let it take its time. You say it's okay. You take your time, Mr. Deck. Miss Deck, whatever gender you prefer. There. What gender does my deck have? It's gender X. Rachel gets this. Earth. No, entertain, entrepreneur, practical, reliable. Taurus. Cap, Virgo. She also gets this one. Oh, I predicted this one when I thought the last card was this one for a second. Earth Mama, honorable, successful, sensual, Queen of Pentacles. That's what sensual means. And lastly, a journey to the unknown, the Eight of Cups. Done. I am done. I'm done with those cups. Now, I will do a poll for Delilah. All right, Delilah, let's see what you get. Oh, burden and oppression. But also the Page of Swords. And the Six of Pentacles. So this is a nice move from burden and oppression to conversation to benefit. Good for her. Now, I think I'm going to pull some cards for the cat. Trouble, this is for you. My beloved narcissist. Let's go, Tarot deck. You can do it. There we go. All right. The Sun. He believes himself to be the baby on the horse. The Hermit, except when he doesn't feel like it. And the Seven of Pentacles. Inventory, accumulate, count, pause, effort, reflect. Yeah. This is him looking at me and Rachel. You are my pentacles. You must obey. Well, I want to be fair, so of course I'll pull one for my beloved Capio as well. She's lying there in her little bed. Oop. There's one. This one came out for her too. She's always kind of like that. This one came out for her too. I guess I needed to shuffle a little bit more. Well, that's what the tarot wants to say. That's what it says, you know. And this one, wow, ascension, completion, judgment, zenith. It's pretty good. Both of my cats got 2 major arcanas. So it's a pretty big day for them. That's how you know when your cats are going to have a big day. Okay. Well, I'm not sure exactly how much more live streaming I have in me. I'm not sure really what else I want to do, though, either. So, let's go smoke a cigarette and think about it a little bit. Come on, it'll do you some good. Smoke a cigarette. Like Lou, if you're at work right now, now's a good time to step outside and smoke a cigarette. Just as soon as I'm done pulling this bong rope. 9:18. Let's say you got there at 9 o'clock. Well, you've been working long enough. 18 minutes? You need a break. I already fed the woodland friends earlier. Even though I gave them straight cutlets, they didn't seem to jump on them as much as I would have expected them to. Let's go see if they're eating them now. We don't have to go to the garage. We could just go to the front here instead. No, we are going to have to go to the garage because there aren't any cigarettes out here. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll bring this beer that I lost last night. Ruben went back and looked for it on the live stream. Couldn't find it outside for me, so I never did look outside. Where, of course, it turned out to be. Such are the ways of Eric. As I cover in my new book, Me and My Horrible Ways. I already looked with his mom. I looked carefully because I would expect there to be those little head flies, those little gnats in there, but there aren't any because this recent cold snap seems to have put an end to them. I also have here in the garage. We just need to wait for the weather to change, I guess. They seem to all be gone now that it's cold. It's not that cold even, but I guess it gets too cold at night for them. So, I was surprised that was sort of all of a sudden, we went from shit tons to zero all of a sudden. This I opened about 4 a.m. to have a middle of the night cigarette with. It's been here in the garage. It's still good. It's still fine. I can drink it all the time. So what I should do is figure out what I want to do today. I could sweep up in here. That's one thing I could do. That would be a worthwhile activity. I wouldn't regret engaging in that action. Um, we need to go into town and get Rachel's medicine at some point. It's not inconceivable that I could take a nap here in the morning if I'm feeling tired. I didn't get that much sleep last night. Although I probably got 7 hours or so. You might think that's enough sleep. I don't really think so. I think I need a little bit more than 8 hours a night. 8.5, 9 some nights. But I don't think it needs to be all during the night. In fact, I think that it's best that I sleep some during the night and then have naps during the day, or a nap during the day. Sometimes I think about things that cause me distress or anxiety. Fairly often. Typically it's brief. I go on to other things, but I guess that's just life. It's not as straightforward and simple as it should be. I'm always reminded when something troubling crosses my mind, and I know it probably expresses on my face. Um, like Rachel's very aware when her face expresses something and voices clarification about what she's thinking about or whatever. But I'll explain it for her. You put a little bit of apple cider vinegar at the bottom of like a little dish, and then you cover it with saran wrap and you poke a little hole in it. Well, if you really want me to look like Walter White, I gotta get the black hat that I have in there. I do have a black hat, but I'm not wearing it currently, obviously. I have a cooler hat than my black hat, even. Got multiple cool hats, but my current hat that is the coolest, ironically, is actually probably a baseball cap. But I do have a very cool baseball cap, which I'll put on right now. Because few things in life are quite as important as being cool. There. There's my cool hat. I don't know about that question, Fiakokiak, but I suspect it would probably work just as well with any kind of liquid in there. If you put maybe something that the fruit flies are attracted to. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do you guys a big favor. I'm going to use the front camera. What do you think about that? Does it make you say, oh my God? Let me see. I'm looking to see if I'm in frame properly. There. Needs to be a little bit higher, doesn't it? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go like this. What do you think about that? How does that look? The blue hat goes with my blue shirt too. There. And to reward myself for all of my fashion awesomeness, I shall now pull a celebratory bong rip. With this outfit on, I really look like one of the cool kids. I didn't realize until seeing it right now. Thanks, Biakokiak. Your guess is right on the money. I will now pause this so that it's not utilizing so much bandwidth, maybe. But no, I am 52. That's how old I am. Because I have lived 52 years and more. I've lived 52 years, more than 52 and a half years now, probably. Or about closing in on 52 and a half years. I don't know how many months that is. There'll be a lot of months. Let's see. It would be like 700 months or something like that. 600 and some months. 624 months. Is that right? Is that how many months I am old? Is 52 times 12 624? I guess I could use my calculator. Fine. 52 times 12. Yeah, it is 624. What a good math guy I am. Now let's do 52 times 365. 18,980 days. That means I've got roughly 11,000 days left. That's a pretty good number of days. $30,000 days. That's how long the average life is. 30,000 days. I have a song called 30,000 Days, accordingly. Huh. So, yeah, okay. I'm almost. Yeah, I forgot to add the half a year part. So that's why my 624 was wrong. I was 624 months old on my birthday. So I've already lived 27,590,400 minutes. I've put in a good number of minutes into this life already. Shockingly, I still haven't figured it out. Despite all of that time and effort, I am still just a big failure. Oh well, that's life, I guess. First you fail and then you die. Well, that's not very happy, Eric. Okay, you're right. It's not very happy. I should be happier. Everything's good, everything's fine, everything's wonderful all of the time. That's what I should sing all day long. Everything's good, everything's fine, everything's wonderful all of the time. I should just sing that over and over and over again all day long until I drill it into my head. If I just believe it hard enough, it'll be true. And then I see over there in lighter wrapper form my dad's owl eyes staring at me. Because what I'm talking about is this. Hello. Ah, son? I know, Dad. I'll try to do a better job with everything. Yeah, those two are important. I could have done a better job as a parent. I guess we all feel that way. I feel like I'm doing a fine job as a parent now. I did an okay job in certain ways. You know, I was imperfect for sure. Makes me sad. I just want to call Delilah. like, I'm sorry for being a shitty father. But, that's just me being all emo. FI makes me quiet. You just feel emotions, and then it's like, here come the waterworks. And who wants that, really? It's all just a bunch of vague moisture. That's the quality of moisture in general. Liquids. They're vague. They're not distinct objects in space. That's why liquids represent emotions in archetypes. Because emotions, like liquids, are not distinct objects in space, metaphysical space, or they're distinct experiences of your physical body that have that component, like, you know, the physicality of tears or of feeling your throat tighten up because you're about to cry or something. Those are physical expressions of FI. Oh, the former 1,000,000% of the time. Hi, Boba Fett. How are you? Hi, Boba Fett. How are you? What do you do and what do you chew? Yeah. Is it still in? Am I still in frame? Now you're too much in frame, Eric. That's what you're saying. We don't need to see that much, Eric. I don't blame you. Let's see how it looks. Just go here. That's fine. That's just fine. When talking about something vulnerable, does your body tremor? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not really thought about that before. But no, I hate roller coasters and things that jostle me unnecessarily. I don't need to be jostled around. I'm not a parcel in the back of a UPS truck. You know, such a thing is the sort of thing that ought to expect to be jostled. Me, I'm not the sort of thing that ought to expect to be jostled, nor would I like to seek out jostling. Now, it's true, sometimes Rachel and I will go out in the little wilderness car and we will we will go on roads that would normally be very jostly, but we happen to have gotten an excellent little wilderness car that has shock absorbers that make it very non-jostly even when you're going down very jostly roads. So that's a great blessing and a wonderful thing to have on your little wilderness car if you don't like jostling. And I don't like jostling. Lou and I are two members of the anti-jostling board. I think it's fair to say that Rachel is also on the anti-jostling advisory board. Lou, Rachel, and I comprise three of the founding members of the anti-jostling board advisory board. We give advice on anti-jostling protocols and procedures. Oh, hi, Boba Fett. This is your first time here? Welcome. I think you're going to find it a fun place. I think you're gonna feel like, hey, this guy's okay. His hat and his shirt match. Oh, wow. You know, that's what channels do, I guess, is they jostle for your clickage. Yeah, I don't like bumper cars or being jostled. And, you know, I think Rachel, if she were awake, would attest to the fact that I do a good job of driving the car in a non jostling way, by and large. You know, that means you want to gently brake, no like herky jerkiness, right? With a stick shift, sometimes you are subject potentially to a little bit of herky jerkiness if you don't drive it well. But I'd like to think that I drive the stick shift in the Mini well enough that I minimize instances of jostling. For example, Rachel likes to put on makeup sometimes in the car. So when she's got on out her lipstick, either stick or I've noticed she's got this lipstick that you dip it in like a nail polish brush, but it's for your lips and your lipstick, you know. She's got this kind of lipstick that you dip it and brush it on, I guess. So anyway, when I see her brushing on the lipstick, obviously I'm even extra attentive um to not jostling because I don't want her to go like you know, because there's a big jostle and she gets a big streak of lipstick across her face. So I think though, but my point is, I think the fact that she even attempts to put on lipstick in the car as we're driving along these windy roads around here is evidence that I'm a pretty jostle free driver. And like if you're a passenger in a car, isn't that what you're looking for in a driver? You're looking to not be jostled. That's what this title, this live stream should have been titled is the Anti Jostling Advisory Board meeting. A rally? You think we should have a rally to raise awareness of jostling related issues? One of my favorite things to raise is awareness. The interesting thing though is this. I think even nowadays it seems as though people have finally accepted that everyone's aware of breast cancer. You don't really see people out there raising awareness for breast cancer so much anymore. So I guess we are all satisfactorily aware of it now. And that's good. That's why it's important for us to begin raising awareness of other things. I've left the white thing in here, I guess. I guess I continue to leave it in there. I can, like, it says Johnny right here too. As well as having his signature. So, pretty cool hat. Pretty cool. I mean, have you ever met anyone and said to them, so anyway, it's breast cancer awareness week. Breast cancer? What's that? Thanks, Misty Joy. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I was totally unaware that there's this thing called breast cancer. You would really have to have been living in a cave for the last 15, 20 years to have no awareness of breast cancer. I'm sure there are some people whose position is, look, you can never be aware enough about breast cancer. Your awareness of it should be a continual, ongoing thing, not just knowledge that you know it exists. You should be continually aware of it. Well, I don't think I really want to be that aware of breast cancer. Okay, well, raising money makes a lot more sense than raising awareness. Raising money, I understand that there are plenty of things in life that require one to raise money. If they called it Breast Cancer Money Get Month, then it would make a lot more sense. Boba Fett, your brain is just fine, my friend. It's just fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just an INFJ. Yes, it kind of inherently sucks. To be an INFJ. It's a hard type to be. People don't understand how difficult it is for people to be an INFJ. Inktober for you? So I hereby petition to call October Breast Cancer Get Money Month. And its message explicitly is you're already aware of breast cancer. Now give us money. I'd be a big supporter of that. That would be a campaign that might actually get me to give money to breast cancer, just because I would appreciate its direct honesty. Yeah, well, there's a reason why both ENTPs and INFJs are rare. It's because we aren't very useful. Inktober. No, I don't think he's talking about tattoos, Lou. I think he's just a fan of using quill pens and inks to do his calligraphy. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, the man with the great machete is really into calligraphy. likes to write things like, "Today I choose joy," in calligraphy on papyrus with inks made out of natural sea anemone. Natural sea anemone's colors. I think they used sea anemones to make inks at one point, right? Of course, they also used to use lead in paints and stuff like that. Boy, I miss that. I miss all the lead that used to be in the world. You know, it's like when I played Dungeons and Dragons as a little kid, we had lead figurines to play with. They were actually made out of lead. Like little figures of mages and shit, they were made out of lead. They were nice and heavy, you know. And we'd play Dungeons and Dragons with those. These days, you know, not the late 1970s, I'm sure they wouldn't let children play with lead figures. But they let us play with them. And you know, if you were arty or whatever, or good at this sort of thing, you could paint your own lead figures to make them look good. Every time I tried to paint one, it came out looking terrible. It's so blustery in PDX today. Is that Portland downtown extreme? Is that what PDX stands for? That's the shorthand for Portland is PDX? Really? I didn't know that. You think it would be PRT? Oh, it's the name of the airport. Or like PTL. PDX is Portland Airport, huh? Like LAX. LAX makes sense. I guess PDX makes sense too. You just have to pick two letters from Portland. And you might as well just pick the P and the D, I guess. Hmm. Well, it's only lightly breezy around here today. It says that can't be right. It must be warmer than that. It says it's currently 55 degrees. No. Yeah, that's what it says. Let me go outside. It doesn't feel that cold. It's supposed to get as high as 64 today. As high as 79 on Monday. According to this, on the 19th and the 20th of this month, it's going to be in the 80s, but I don't trust things that are that far away in terms of the weather forecast because monthly forecast. Like, yeah, it's basically starting on the 15th, it's going to be in the 80s most of the week, as high as 89 on the 21st, and then drop to 69 on the 22nd. How do they know that now? It's going to be 20 degrees colder on the 22nd than it was on the 21st. What are they basing this on? It's currently the 11th. They're saying on the 21st it's going to be 89 degrees, and on the 22nd it's going to be 69 degrees. I want to check later on the 21st and the 22nd and see how right or wrong that was. PTL is actually the name of my boy band. And what's it stand for? It's PTL. I'm Sergey, the sassy one. Lou's mom used to do calligraphy. It's a beautiful art form. Your mom's a beautiful art form. Oh, I went there. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna maybe watch another cartoon or two, maybe eat a donut, and figure out if I want to maybe take a nap, etc. So I'm gonna wrap this up now. Thank you for being here. I love you all. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.